All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, lately, the Jewish community, along with everybody else, have been trying to flex on us and exercise their muscle and their dominance over us. They try to tell us how we should feel, just like everybody else, and tell us what we can and what we can't say. They feel as though they can check us anytime we do something they don't like. First of all, let me say this. Until the Jewish community come breaking off some of that reparation money they got, including from what was supposed to be the first black president, I'm not even really trying to hear what they got to say. But even just saying that, they'll be quick to call you anti-Semitic. But what I don't understand is, why is it so many of our people actually apologize? I don't understand. They just made LeBron James apologize. And all he did was post somebody else's lyrics. That wasn't even an insult. Since when is being financially secure a negative thing? And people love to say, well, what if they said that about black people? Well, they've been saying the opposite about black people in a negative way. And you know what happened? They created laws that hurt us based on that. Even now, we're still depicted as criminals living in poverty. Those are almost all the images you see of us on movies and TV. But since when is saying you get money a racial slur? But either way, LeBron James still apologized.
LeBron James has apologized for posting offensive song lyrics on social media over the weekend. Well, the Lakers star, he posted an Instagram story with the caption quoting lyrics by hip-hop artist 21 Savage. It read, "We've been getting that Jewish money, everything is kosher." Well, James, who has more than 45 million Instagram followers, told ESPN, quote, "Apologies for sure if I offended anyone," end quote. He added that it wasn't his intention to hurt anyone.
Now, this community gets fake outrage out of nowhere and go around demanding apologies from everybody, from people like Michael Jackson, who was just defending them in his song, to Jay-Z, who was just talking about black people being financially literate, to people like Ice Cube back in '91. They even went in on Larry David, one of their own, just for a sketch he did on SNL. I know people like to say black people are the only people who do such and such, but we're not. Everybody else does the same thing we do. We're just not in a position that we can do what everybody else does. But they threaten and demand apologies from all these people. Meanwhile, they won't even recognize, let alone apologize, for their role to help build a white supremacist nation. They haven't apologized or denounced or even recognized their role for helping kidnap people from Africa. During the time period where the most people were kidnapped from Africa, Jewish people were the main investors in companies like the Royal African Company. And not only did they invest with the English, they also invested with the Dutch. They were major investors in the Dutch East and West India Company. And in America, there were plenty of Jewish slave owners. Their doctrine condones it. Then during the 1800s, when blackface and these minstrel shows started to take off, it was Jewish people that were one of the main groups that was putting on blackface and helping create the image of the Sambo. And still today, there are Jewish councilmen that dress up in blackface.
A veteran New York lawmaker is apologizing tonight for a costume that had some asking, what was he thinking?
Assemblyman Dov Hikind dressed up for a party as a basketball player. He wore blackface makeup, an afro wig, and an orange jersey. CBS 2's John Slattery spoke with the Assemblyman about his controversial costume choice.
Prominent Democratic Assemblyman Dov Hikind was doing some backpedaling.
Never crossed my mind for a split second that it was wrong.
On Sunday, a party at his home, an open house for the Jewish celebration of Purim. Costumes worn like Halloween. Hikind wore an afro wig, brown face paint, sunglasses, and an orange jersey. Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver says Hikind's actions were inappropriate and offensive.
Clearly, there are people out there who, were offended. By the way, it wasn't meant to be funny or anything like that. It was just meant to get dressed up for Purim and to look in a way, in a fashion that I would not be recognizable as I do every single year.
Assemblyman Kareem Kamara says he hopes the apology is a first step.
I'm hoping that it forces a dialogue on why the depiction was so offensive in the first place. The history of whites caricaturing blacks for entertainment.
Supporters of Hikind, who celebrated Purim themselves, saw no problem.
If somebody feels bad, I think so. I'm sorry. He didn't mean it to feel bad. He didn't mean to bother anybody.
But on Flatbush Avenue, a different reaction to face paint and an afro wig. What does it say to you?
prejudice. That's what they say to me.
We can stereotype that, or maybe we can look at it as a little racism. You know, in hindsight, I would have picked something else.
When asked if he would wear the costume next year, Hyken firmly replied, no.
Now, during the early 1800s, it was mainly the Irish and the Jewish people doing blackface. They were two groups that weren't quite accepted as white. But since white society has always been fascinated with us and with our culture, and when you really look at the history of blackface, it shows just how obsessed they've been with us. But other minority groups have historically shitted on us to be accepted by the dominant society. But here you have the Jewish community that's outraged about everything, caping for this councilman who dressed up in blackface. But a black councilman in D.C. brings up the Rothschilds, and the Jewish community loses their mind.
Council members' actions are under investigation tonight. The city is asking questions about a donation Ward 8 Councilman Trayon White made to a Nation of Islam event. And that's not all. WUSA 9's Michael Quander joins us live now with more. Mike?
Yeah, the payment is raising eyebrows with auditors, and people in the Jewish community aren't happy about it either.
We're just about done with our patience with him.
I was going to ask, is your patience running thin here?
My patience is very thin. It's almost depleted.
The Jewish Community Relations Council says it tried working with Councilman Trayon White, but says things only seem to be getting worse.
These three things happened in a period of 1 month.
Let me explain. First, the councilman claimed a rich Jewish family controlled the weather.
The Rothschilds controlling the climate to create natural disasters they can pay for it and own the cities, man. Be careful.
Now, White apologized for that and agreed to go on a tour of the Holocaust Museum. But this is where the second issue comes in. White left that guided tour early because he says a reporter was following him around and taking notes.
I did feel comfortable doing a tour like that and seeing what I saw and experience what I'm feeling emotionally. But the reporter's taking notes.
As part of his job description as an elected official, he has to be willing to accept public scrutiny, which means sometime the media is going to show up even if you don't want it, and you've got to just deal with it.
And here's the third issue. This report with the D.C. Office of Campaign Finance reveals White donated $500 to a Nation of Islam event in Chicago. At the event, the group's leader said powerful Jews are his enemy.
People say controversial stuff all the time, and I don't agree with the things that some people say, including people in Louis Farrakhan, but the reality is that these brothers are on the front line fighting for the same causes I fight for.
But still, that donated money came from White's constituent services account, and the law says that that fund is only supposed to be used to benefit D.C. residents, which is why the city is now asking questions. White's office has until next Thursday to explain the donation before any action may be taken, and we're continuing to ask questions. We've reached out to every single council member, and we wanted to know how they're responding to all of this. And a few of them have written us back, and they want to take some serious action.
A rally in support of a D.C. council member didn't go as organizers hoped. Our John Henry was there when things took a turn.
Outside the Wilson building, a show of support for embattled D.C. Ward 8 Councilman Trayon White.
When people sincerely apologize and are trying to redeem themselves, we need to believe them.
Most speakers wanted to draw attention to what White has accomplished for his constituents.
It takes a lot for leaders from east of the river to come to this building and represent the people.
But toward the end of what was described as a unity rally, a supporter of controversial Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan took the bullhorn. Farrakhan once claimed powerful Jews were his enemy. This man's words were just as shocking.
What is the fake Jews that call themselves Jews, the ADL or the JDF?
After that question, he set his sights on D.C. Councilwoman Elisa Silverman. She released a statement last week saying Farrakhan's anti-Semitic rhetoric should not be tolerated.
Unorganized marches on against, or matter of fact, protest against Elisa Silverman. D.C. is Farrakhan's word. You got your nerve to say Farrakhan can't come back to D.C. Whatever, you fake Jew.
White's connection to the Nation of Islam has been heavily scrutinized. Just last week, we learned he made a $500 donation to the group in January.
The reality is that these brothers are on the front line fighting for some of the same causes I fight for.
But White did not attend this rally, and this man speaking wasn't part of the plan. The organizer tried to pull him away.
You know, I can't speak on their behalf, but, you know, we all came here today in the spirit of solidarity and peace.
Now, other speakers at the rally condemned the words of that Farrakhan supporter, Leslie.
Now, really, they're mad at this brother Trayon White because he donated to Louis Farrakhan. And they've always tried to go after Farrakhan, but right now they're really trying to get black people to denounce him. But that's not happening. And this brother donating $500 to Farrakhan was the straw that broke the camel's back to the Jewish community. And they have to have a rally to beg for his forgiveness. And you have white feminists like Deborah Messing and Alyssa Milano who's trying to force black women to denounce Farrakhan. I've never heard neither of these women ever speak up for black women. And now they snap their finger and demand them to jump. I didn't see them condoning all of those white women that voted for Trump. But before you tell black people to denounce Farrakhan, how about you denounce George Bush, father and son? Or how about you denounce Richard Nixon or Ronald Reagan, who got caught on tape using racial slurs while he was the president? How about they denouncing the racism going on in Israel? The way they treat Ethiopian Jews goes against their own doctrine and how you're supposed to treat other Jews. But I don't hear them say a word about any of that. But they will get you fired if you talk about the colonizing they're doing right now. You'll be out of a job just for saying the word Zionist. Meanwhile, when you look at Israel, it's just as racist as everywhere else.
The short video from a security camera in Holon, a suburb of Tel Aviv, has swept Israel and sparked waves of angry protests against police. At the center of the video is Corporal Demas Fkade, the 21-year-old Ethiopian soldier you see in uniform. He says he was trying to reach his house just a block away when police stopped him from crossing the street. There's no sound on the tape, so it's not clear what either party said, but Fkade says he was asking for permission to cross when the police officer grabbed his bike. Fkade says he urged him not to use force, but by then, another officer joined. You can see Fkade pushed to the ground and held down. There's no way to explain the feeling. Only God and I know how I felt, he says. First of all, it's degrading because you're a soldier who is serving the country. You're giving all of yourself, and it's degrading. Moments later, Fkade gets to his feet. He's seen picking up a rock. He eventually puts it down, and the situation appears to quiet down. Israeli authorities say both officers have been dismissed. The incident is still under investigation. The video set off protests across Israel from the Ethiopian Jewish community. Nearly 1,000 demonstrators gathered in Jerusalem on Thursday night, followed by hundreds more on Sunday in Tel Aviv. Protesters blocked off major streets in Tel Aviv, snarling traffic during rush hour. Still, it remained peaceful. But when the protest moved to Rabin Square in central Tel Aviv, clashes erupted. Protesters smashed shop windows and damaged police cars. Police fired tear gas and used water cannons to disperse the crowd, as what was a peaceful afternoon became a violent night. Authorities and Ethiopian leaders urged restraint, but it was well past midnight when the final protesters left Rabin Square. I am for the demonstrations, but I'm against violence, Fkade says. Whether it's on policemen or civilians, nobody should get hurt. It's a pity. But I'm for the demonstrations. I'm completely for them. The protests were not just about the video, but about what Ethiopians see as years of discrimination at the hands of police and authorities. The video was the tipping point. Fkade and community leaders met with the Prime Minister to try to ease the unrest in the community and begin to address the bigger issue of what Ethiopians see as discrimination. He expressed interest in us, in the family and the community, Fkade says, and I hope, as Prime Minister, he will now do the right thing. The Prime Minister says he saw the pictures and was shocked by what he saw in the beating video. The Prime Minister says Israel can't let things like this happen again. All sides here hoping the protests are the catalyst for change.
Now, they love saying things like anti-Semitic, and they love to call other people racist. But Judaism is not a race, it's a religion. And Semitic is a language. How can you be anti a language? That's like saying you're anti-Mandarin. And Jewish people aren't the only ones that speak Semitic languages. Jewish is not a race. But when you talk about the European Jews that come from Turkey somewhere, the first thing they say is anti-Semitic. But if the European Jews oppress and discriminate against the Ethiopian Jews, does that make them anti-Semitic? If they go against other Semitic-speaking people like the Palestinians, does that make them anti-Semitic? No, it's only when you speak about European Jews do you get called anti-Semitic. And Europeans always try to find a way to argue some kind of reverse racism. But I don't give the Jewish community a pass. And before we're quick to beg for somebody's forgiveness and acceptance, we got to make sure they're held responsible like everybody else. We need to stop thinking that we have friends, because at the end of the day, we're all we got.
Question in the back. Just tell us who you are.
I'm a discrimination lawyer. Crystal, one thing that you said about Sarah Silverman, I get the impression that you take her work at face value. And I think that so many comedians who are really funny, I don't think she's making fun in any way, shape, or form about black people when she does blackface. Because those of us who know the history of blackface is that not only did white people do blackface, but black entertainers had to do blackface to get jobs.
So you have to be really white to make a statement like that. You have to, that is just the whitest thing.
It's a comment about how ridiculous we as a society can be.
Bro.
This is fun.
Can we not? I'm really not about to do this.
I've never walked out on Paul Mooney, so you have to give me a pass.
And you're a discrimination lawyer. Holy God. So I'm going to go ahead and address that by saying, first of all, I can absolutely say that you're racist for being a white woman in effing 2014 or whenever it was she did this, to put on blackface and go on television. Yes, I can absolutely call you racist for that. You understand the history behind it and you did it anyway. That is racist. I can say that. I'm a black woman. I'm gonna just go ahead and take my word over yours on that. That's racist, and I don't like her for it. That is fine. No. It's fine for me. I don't. Where is my access to Sarah Silverman? I don't have to know what's inside.
All right, guys. You asked your question. Let the answer happen.
I don't have to know what's inside Sarah Silverman's head. I'm looking at her actions because her actions are what she's presented to me. She didn't put out a book called Sarah Silverman's Diary. Here, read my innermost thoughts and see how I came to these fuck-ass conclusions that I have today. She got on TV in blackface and decided that that was funny, and it's not. And you, as a white man, trying to tell me that my feelings are invalid because I don't know her is a crock of shit. No, I don't want to hear it. That's bullshit. You don't get to tell me that the way I feel about that doesn't matter or it isn't real. Fuck out of here. And that's why I go on my show every week and say what I need to say, because white people like you think that you have a goddamn point. Wow. Sweetie, and I'm done.
All right. This is fun, but let's move on.
I look like the beautiful Queen Latifah.
A local woman's Facebook post is making the rounds tonight. She says she was out for a walk near Great Bridge High School in Chesapeake when someone drove by and threw what looked like business cards at her. But they are not business cards. They're covered in racist messages. 13 News Now reporter Allie Weatherton spoke to the woman today, and she's live in the newsroom.
Janet, Emily Crosby says she never expected that to happen while she was on her lunch break. And she says she's mad and angry.
I am a person. Like, they threw these cards at me and I don't know what they expected, that I was gonna retaliate.
Lying on the sidewalk near Great Bridge High School.
I noticed all these little business cards all over the ground, but I was just like, whatever. I figured it was Halloween stuff.
Emily Crosby says she kept walking until this happened.
Somebody pulled up and I saw them roll their window down a little bit. So I stopped and I didn't take my headphone out, and they threw something out the window, but they only cracked the window enough to that I could see their mouth.
Crosby says a man threw out these cards and said something to her she couldn't hear. The back of one of the cards reads, quote, "We believe that no multiracial society is a healthy society."
They drove away so fast, they were cowards. They didn't want to deal with the repercussions of throwing it at me.
There are no phone numbers listed on the cards, but there are websites. Crosby looked them up and said those sites were even more hurtful.
I was like, this is awful. I didn't know they had websites that were actual legitimate organizations.
And she hopes this never happens again to anyone else. And I did look up the websites myself. It sells racist clothing and other items.
2 employees accused of racial profiling at a Hilton Doubletree Hotel in Oregon are on leave this morning. The hotel apologized a second time to Jermaine Massey. In a widely shared Instagram video and several other videos, he claimed he was targeted for, quote, calling his mother while black. DeMarco Morgan shows us how this is the latest incident of police being called on African Americans who are doing seemingly ordinary things.
It's another talker this morning, guys. Good morning to everyone. Jermaine Massey was returning from a concert Saturday night when he said he went to a quiet corner of the hotel lobby to take a phone call from his mother. When a security officer, now dubbed Hotel Earl by the internet, approached him, things got heated.
You really want this PR issue, Earl? Do you?
Jermaine Massey was ordered to pack his bags and leave the DoubleTree Hotel in Portland, Oregon, hours after he checked in.
A situation here.
The 71-year-old security guard, Earl Wesley Myers, had asked Massey for his room number. Massey said he didn't remember it and requested privacy for his phone call. Instead, Myers called for the police.
Why are they coming?
Escort you off the property.
Because what? And I'm staying here?
Not anymore.
He even went so far to say that he's there to protect the safety of the guests, as if I weren't a guest and I was causing a disturbance and I was a safety threat.
Massey says white guests in the lobby were not similarly questioned.
They're not loitering.
How am I loitering in an area that's public?
You're sitting here.
So this area is off limits after a certain time?
Only if you're a guest.
I am a guest.
You didn't tell me that.
I just checked in with my American Express.
Okay. And Massey produced his room key for a manager.
He wouldn't ask me to call 911 without any cost.
I didn't do anything to this man.
Okay.
I'm taking a phone call.
But responding officers warned Massey he could be arrested for trespassing if he stayed.
That I need to leave.
Control of the property, yes.
According to the police report, the 34-year-old who said he was a former FBI agent became loud and started yelling that the hotel was racist.
You know, judging someone based off of the color of their skin, you never know how it feels until you've actually been there. I could have went to jail had I responded a different way.
And the past year, police have been called on a group of black people barbecuing.
It's illegal to have a charcoal grill in the park here.
A girl selling bottled water on the sidewalk.
Illegally selling water without a permit?
And Bob Marley's granddaughter after she and her friends left their Airbnb.
Yeah, we're standing here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers here. Yeah.
Massey checked into a different hotel Saturday after he was kicked out without a refund. On Thursday, the DoubleTree announced it was reviewing its protocols and trainings and had launched an investigation. We have a zero-tolerance stance on discrimination of any kind, it said in a statement.
I plan to try to seek justice and make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else.
Now, Massey's attorney said in a statement his client was publicly humiliated and now wants the hotel to publicly answer to 2 questions. Why was he approached by security and interrogated, and why was he called a threat to the safety and security of guests? And guys, I got to point out, this actually happened to me about 2 weeks ago at an unnamed hotel. There was a security guard who came up to me and said, "Hey, what's your room number?" And I gave him that look. And he said, "Oh, it's just for security reasons." And then there was a white couple on the side of me, and thankfully she spoke up. The lady did, and she said, "Well, you didn't ask for my room number."
Good for
I gave her this look like, okay.
Good for her.
What? You know, but that's what it will take. It's going to take us working together, regardless of your race, your sex, your religion, speaking out. And of course, there are 2 sides to every story, so we don't know both sides, but it happens.
A TV weatherman is fighting back after he was fired for something he said on live TV. He says he didn't say it, but to many of those watching, it sure sounded like he uttered an ugly racial slur. Les Trent has the details.
Couple of shots of some cold air heading our way.
A TV meteorologist is fighting for his professional life today after he says he was unfairly fired for making a flub on live TV. Jeremy Capel says he got tongue-tied during a broadcast and uttered what sounded like an offensive racial slur.
Martin Luther King Jr. Park.
Viewers in Rochester, New York were stunned. They took to social media to vent their outrage. That's a shameful slip. This is awful for real. Even the mayor weighed in and pulled no punches. It is beyond unacceptable that this occurred. There must be real consequences for the news personality involved. Capel was fired Sunday night by the station's news director.
Meteorologist Jeremy Capel is no longer with News 10 NBC.
I spoke with the weatherman and his wife Lisa today.
Please explain to me how this came about.
I simply ran his name too fast. Martin Luther King Jr. came out too fast. And as that did, I crunched 2 words together. And I want you to think about this. First, say his name, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., 5 times real fast. See if it's easy for you. And then you take the two words, King and Junior, and you bash them together. Guess what you get?
Capel is getting support from some big names in TV news.
Well, anyone who's done this, as long as we've done it, on air, you flub. You make mistakes. It would seem as if the guy made a genuine mistake.
Fellow weatherman Al Roker tweeted, "I think Jeremy Capel made an unfortunate flub and should be given the chance to apologize. Anyone who has done live TV and screwed up understands." An I Stand Behind Jeremy Capel petition has gotten 33,000 signatures. Just 12 people have signed a counter petition, "Do not rehire Jeremy Capel after his racist words." The station is standing by their decision to fire Capel. An utterance such as this with no immediate apology, regardless of intent, is unacceptable and inexcusable. We believe we have done what is right for our station and our community.
Lisa, I'm just wondering what effect this is having on you, the kids, and on Jeremy.
You are shook to the core when something like this happens to your family. It's not something that we were expecting, and it was devastating. We're handling it through our faith right now, but I know who he is.
As far as my career, my future, I honestly have no idea.
Have you fucking look? Listen to me. I work for somebody who will get on your motherfucking ass. So I'm gonna ask you one more time to get away from me.
Using obscenities in front of public people is a crime.
Sir, listen to me. I'm gonna tell you one more time.
I don't care who you work for.
You don't care who I work for. The person I work for pays you. So I'm gonna tell you one more time to get away from me. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Get away from me. Sir, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to identify myself. You don't have to do anything. If I have not broken any laws, I don't have to do anything. So again, I ask you, leave me alone. If I have not broken a law, you have no reason to detain me. If you had a reason to detain me, you would have detained me already. So with that being,
yes, I can.
For what?
Because you're not listening to my directions. You're not following it.
Sir.
I know.
Sir.
Turn around. I'm done.
So you're gonna arrest me?
I'm detaining you.
For what? For what?
Be resistive.
For what? For what? What are you detaining me for?
You're not being resistive towards me.
Okay. All right. You've done it. You have done it.
Yep.
You're a fool. You are a real fool, sir. And could you tell me what I am handcuffed for?
Yes, because you wouldn't follow my directives.
Your directives? And what were your directives?
I told you to stop numerous times.
And I asked you for what?
And I asked you to identify yourself because I'm investigating a suspicious person. Someone had worries.
Worried about what? Have I tried to enter anyone's property?
They were concerned, so yes, you're gonna.
Okay. No, I have not. Show me evidence where I've entered someone's property without them knowing. Show me evidence.
There were 2 calls on you about entering people's areas of their house.
No, they weren't. Listen to me, sir. I can tell you for sure I have not done anything wrong. I have not broken any laws. So I suggest you let me out of these handcuffs immediately.
Well,
so, could you tell him to take me out of these handcuffs? I have not broken any laws.
Okay, did you stop when he told you to?
No, he kept walking away.
Okay, then that's interference, so you're under arrest.
Interference for what?
Interference, you disobeyed a lawful order.
You were sitting right there and I told you to stop 4 or 5 times to identify yourself because there was a suspicious person car, and I'm investigating that.
Investigating what? I have not done anything. Okay. You can't just run up on anyone and just say, hey, you look suspicious.
He told you to stop, you didn't.
And we had calls on you like I told you.
You're practicing stop and twist, right?
No, you're under arrest.
So. Under arrest for what? Under arrest for what? What have I done on you? Tell me now.
You didn't identify yourself. Okay. You didn't stop when he asked you to.
Okay.
Okay, this is what I'm asking. That's all I'm asking for is your name and date of birth, man.
All right, okay.
So I can log someone.
Okay.
So what's the issue here, man?
There isn't an issue. I haven't done anything wrong.
Sit back here.
I have not done a thing wrong.
Why would you not listen to me?
Because I have not done anything wrong, sir. So could you let me out of these handcuffs immediately?
Sit back here.
Okay.
Parents are heartbroken. A daycare worker is accused of hurting the very children that she was supposed to be looking out for.
One baby suffered broken bones. This happened at the JOYOUS Montessori school in McKinney, where tonight that daycare worker has been fired. Jobin Paniker has more.
A parent's faith in people caring for their child is as fragile as the child himself. And nobody feels that more than Ariel Murphy.
I'm disappointed, I'm disgusted, I'm hurt.
She says her son Cairo, only 2 months old, was hurt by a teacher at a daycare in McKinney. Police have arrested Jessica Joy Weiss. Accused, she faces a charge of injury to a child. She says Cairo came home last week with a bruise on his leg. The next day, Ariel confronted the daycare.
They said that it was a birthmark. Then they changed the story and said that it was due to a rough diaper change.
She immediately took him to a hospital. There, the worst confirmed. 8 broken ribs, 4 on each side, a broken femur, and 2 ankles. And a mother without words.
I had to walk up. I was devastated. I was like, the tears were flowing nonstop. I couldn't even hear it. I was disgusted.
All these details are now in an arrest affidavit. Investigators looked at surveillance video that appears to show the accused hold him by his leg and shake him up and down. Police believe there may be more victims. We were parked out in front of the daycare. This woman came to us, told us she pulled her child out of the daycare after a series of mystery bruises and cuts and welts. She says she told CPS.
Our main job is to protect our children, and I didn't do that. I feel like I didn't do that.
Her accusations have not been confirmed, but she plans to call McKinney police on Thursday. Cairo will heal. We don't know how long it'll take, but can parents heal?
It's always going to be in the back of our minds.
Jordan Paniker, Channel 8 News.
Today, in a statement, JOYOUS Montessori apologized for the actions of Jessica Weiss and pointed out she passed all background checks and had no criminal history.
No accounts.
He said all these names. Did you guys hear this? This is
Jim's
him.
Rib Heaven.
This
I
is
should have
him.
expected. Jim's Rib Heaven.
He can't even read. He's a clown. Look at him.
Oh, you. You want me to get you? I'll send your picture right to Uber.
I don't have a picture, clown.
Yeah, you do now. You do now. Oh, why don't you get out? I'm sick of you. I don't have to take you to your
Yes, you do,
destination.
or you're going to give me my money back, or I'm going to call the police on you.
Get out.
Okay, call the
Get
police.
out.
I'm going to call the police then.
Call the police.
I am, or you're going to give me my money back.
Well, I can't give you your
Well,
money
then
back
take me to
because
my
you don't have no
destination.
goddamn money.
Take me to my destination.
If you know anything about
Then take
Uber,
me to my
I'll
destination.
take you to your destination, right down in the heart of heaven, right where you belong.
Thanks. I belong in heaven. Thank you.
Just like a monkey.
Are you even a citizen?
I was born and raised here. Where were you at? Where were you born at? Freeze Point, Mississippi? Come up here, the slum.
This is the racist I've ever experienced
you're
in
the
my
racist
life.
that I've ever seen too.
He mad because he can't read a map. Listen to all the he's saying. This is an Uber driver.
Yeah.
He drives Uber though, but he's talking about me. He drives people for a living. This is slave. You drive people for a living.
I don't drive people for a living because I only do
Fucking
this
clown.
on my own.
He's a clown. See, he's calling me.
Get off.
He called me.
I
He's
never
called
called
me
you
a
a nigger
monkey.
yet, but now you are.
He all kind of a clown. But he's working for me right now. He's getting my money. Like he's my getting my money right now. Aren't you dropping me off? Cause you're my
You get out.
at my destination.
I'll destinate you. I'll make sure Uber never picks you up again.
Don't you worry, cause I'm sending this straight to Uber.
Why don't you get up and swing on that pole for me?
See that?
That's
Look
all
at
you
that.
People are good for.
He's a racist.
You're a piece.
This for Uber, but he's talking
let me
about
turn right there, put you where you belong.
at the police station where you're
county jail. That's where you need to be.
for what though?
Yeah, for a lot.
For what though? What'd I do? You don't even know me. You don't even know me.
Yeah, that's good. I don't want to know you. I don't want to know any of your kind.
You don't even know me. I deal. He told me I deal drugs.
Tell Uber never to.
You can't tell Uber anything because after this video, you're getting fired. After this, you're getting fired. You've been
get me fired.
You've been doing racist. You're the most racist driver. I got everything recorded from everything you said.
Just go do that. You people are good for doing that.
I did. I don't know who you people are. I'm you people. I've been monkeys, climb on a tree. He said all kinds of stuff. He's the funniest thing ever.
You remember, everything that you record on me is recorded on YouTube.
See, look at that. Now I'm a
yeah, you
but his mama's a yeah.
You're
at least I'm alive.
Yeah, so am I. Get out of my car and go suck on some rib bones.
Drop me off in the back.
I ain't dropping you off.
That's my drop off. My drop off is in the back.
No, it says nothing on the back.
It's in the back.
Nothing.
I don't give a what it said. It's in the back. Me to the back. Pull in here.
Get out of my car, you loud mouth, no good.
Pull. Stop right here.
There,
like my servant you are.
Get out.
נחשף ביערות בורקינה פאסו של קניבלים נטו נטו. שלום למנהיג השבט קזבובו.
שלום עליכם. אברהם יצחק יעקב. יודע עברית, שולחן, חשבונית, קובי פרץ, מוטלס, יבוטאו.
מר קזבובו, כולנו כאן בישראל מופתעים ונרגשים נוכח האפשרות שתעלו ארצה.
קזבובו שמח. 2000 שנות גלות נגמר. רואים אור בקצה של מנהרה.
אתם בטוחים שאתם יהודים?
התחלנו על חנן. אם הוא שחור הוא לא יהודי?
לא בגלל שהוא שחור, הוא...
מה הוא מה?
קניבל.
ומי אתה שתגיד לו מה לאכול, אה? אם הוא קניבל הוא לא יהודי?
אולי תבוא, תעשה אצלנו שבת?
זה לא שיש לי משהו אישי נגדכם, אבל הפלשמורה למשל תקועים.
Come on, John. Hey. You okay? Can you talk?